Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I'm recording this video on a Thursday, which means that 2 days ago was everyone's favorite day of the week, Tuesday. And on Tuesdays, we always have Title Tuesday. I started the tournament off pretty well. I was on 6.5 out of 7. And in round number 8, I was up against none other than Hikaru Nakamura, one of the leaders. Alright, so let's have a look at what happened. I opened the game with 1d4, and Hikaru, he always wants to go for the win. Doesn't matter if he's playing with white, with black. And so with black, he played the move g6. He wants to keep a lot of pieces on the board, avoid mainline theory. Here, white can go e4, go into the modern defense, but I chose a different approach. I played c4, bishop g7, and knight f3, aiming to go for a more King's-Indian type of setup. Hikaru played d6, knight c3, and c6, really keeping his options open, perhaps inviting me to go for the move e4, but I played the move g3, going for a fianchetto system. Now here Hikaru can continue with knight f6 and we'll have a standard King's-Indian fianchetto line, but instead he played the move f5, taking the game back into the Dutch. So pretty interesting. I'm Dutch myself, so I don't know if that was Hikaru's thought behind it. Anyway, I continued with bishop g2, knight f6, castles, castles. So here we have a very standard position for the Leningrad variation of the Dutch. White has many moves here, such as like rook e1, queen c2, b4, b3, and I chose this move, the move pawn to b3, aiming to fianchetto my other bishop as well. And here Hikaru played the move queen a5. This move is really his pet line. The idea of this move is to attack the knight and to reinforce the e5 push. So I go bishop b2, defending my knight, and he goes pawn to e5, as now the queen is defending the pawn. All right, but I had checked this a while ago. I played the move queen to d2, eyeing his queen on the a5 square, and the idea here is that black should not go e4, as I can simply take this pawn. I'm attacking the queen on a5, so if he takes my knight, I take here, and I'm winning. And if he takes my queen, I can take an f6, but I can also recapture right away. White's up a pawn, and white's doing very well. All right, so instead Hikaru played the move queen to c7, and I played d5, gaining more space in the middle of the board. And the idea is that in case he now very often goes e4 to attack my knight, I can go, let's say, to g5, and my knight often can jump into the e6 square, creating some problems for black. So Hikaru played queen e7, centralizing his queen. And here I played rook fd1. Perhaps a slight inaccuracy. Apparently what I should have done is taken on c6 right away. And if he recaptures with a knight, immediately start pressuring his pawn on d6 with rook a1. For example, moves like bishop a3, and black is under a lot of pressure. And instead of playing rook fd1, he played rook d8, guarding the pawn on d6. Here I took, he recaptured with the knight. And here I play bishop a3. It looks very logical, attacking the pawn on d6, but apparently it wasn't the best move. What I should have done instead is play the move knight to g5. And now I can follow up with a quick knight d5, hitting the queen. If he takes, I can always recapture the queen or the bishop, putting a lot of pressure on his position. And here white has a pretty significant advantage, as you all can see with the evil bar. But instead I play bishop a3. It looks very logical, but here Hikaru started playing pretty well. He played the move e4, attacking my knight. I played knight e1, which is of course a bit of a pity. My knight's a bit passive here. And he just plays bishop e6, sacrificing the pawn on d6, because if I do take the pawn, he's just gonna, apparently has to move knight e8, and there's a lot of pins and pressure on my position, so black here is doing very well. So instead I play rook ac1, but now he goes queen f7. He continues to hang the pawn on d6, but it's not easy. If I do take the pawn, I'm gonna get into a very unpleasant pin, and if I don't take the pawn, black can play d5 and all of his pieces come to life. Also my bishop on g2 is a little bit shut down by this pawn chain over here. So after some thought, I decided to take the pawn on d6, but now he just goes knight e8, putting pressure on the bishop, which is pinned. So I play c5 to defend it, and now he plays bishop e5, putting more pressure on my bishop on d6. So he's going to get the pawn back, and black will get a pretty good position. He also has a nice bishop pair, more space in the center. But I realized I was under pressure here, but I knew I just had to keep fighting. I played knight c2, he got back the pawn, and I played queen to e3. All right, so he played rook a8. Bring his rook into the game. I took and played knight to b5. So I realized I was not in a good position here. I figured like, hey, let me at least get a pawn to have something to show for my worst position. But to play rook d7, I took the pawn. And here Hikaru played knight d4, an excellent move, centralizing his knight, putting pressure here. And the problem really is that my knight on a7 is completely out of the game. Apparently even better would have been knight takes a7, queen takes a7, and rook to c8, creating a very unpleasant pin on my knight. It's really hard to get out of this, and black is threatening bishop to b2, attacking the rook, and if the rook moves, I hang my knight on c2. So White's in big trouble here. Apparently there's no good defense, but instead he played the move knight d4, also looking pretty logical. I cannot take the knight as he will recapture the bishop. I lose on knight a7 and the game is just lost. So I played the move knight c8, trying to bring my knight back into the game via the b6 square, but it's clear that this doesn't look good with the knight all the way over here on the c8 square. So he took on c2, I recaptured, played the rook d1 check, bishop f1, and it really feels like there's got to be something. I'm pinned here on the back rank, my knight on c8 is kind of stuck. Hikaru played f4, excellent move attacking my queen. The idea is that if I take the pawn, he has bishop h3, and I'm simply getting checkmated over here. So again, I was trying to fight on. I played the move queen to c5, attacking this bishop on e5, maybe setting up some ideas with knight e7 check, and making sure that I always have the move rook to c1. So you play bishop h3, rook c1, and this is perhaps where Hikaru missed a bigger opportunity also on some other moves. Here he should have played the move bishop to d4, attacking my queen, eyeing the f2 point, and here it's just really tough for white. I mean, for example, if I move my queen back, at the very least, they can always, let's say, trade, take on g3, and black is a crushing attack on the king side. This would have been very tough to deal with. So maybe after bishop d4, what I should do is sacrifice my queen. Rook takes d1, takes, and bishop takes h3. Perhaps here there are still some chances, because after f takes g3, I still have this check over here to make sure that he has to move the bishop back, because king g7 runs into this, and white is actually winning because I win the queen. But either way, it's looking really bad for me. But instead, he played rook takes c1. Queen takes, and here, you know, things are not that clear anymore. All of a sudden, white is completely back into the game. Like, there's no crushing way for black to continue on the king side. White is up a pawn, so it's really still up to black to prove something. And Hikaru played e3, trying to crash through on the king side, creating a lot of tension here. But with this move, he's just forgetting about the bishop on h3. So I took it and was like, wait, what is he doing? Right? I mean, black's just down a bishop now. I don't quite see it. He took an f2 with a check. I played king f1. I'm using this f-pawn as a shield. And black just doesn't have anything. If he takes on g3, I just recapture. Black's just down a piece. There's very limited material left. So at this point, Hikaru was also like, wait, what am I doing? Right? He played f3, trying to open up a little bit on the king side. But here I just played queen to c4. When you're on material, it's always a good idea to trade off some pieces, especially the queens. And in this position, Hikaru resigned. So not gonna lie, it always feels really good to beat him when the resignation actually does come through. Crazy game. I've had some crazy games against him in the past where I would have had great positions, but I would not manage to finish him off. He would hang in there, and then he would find a way to swindle me. So perhaps this one is a little bit of the other way around. Anyway, very happy to get the win against him in Title Tuesday. Always great to play players like Hikaru and Magnus. Anyway, I hope all of you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next one.